BerlinSaloon, and our next program point here on stage, our Berlin Startup Pitch Contest, Pitch Perfect. I would like to invite you to come and grab a drink, maybe one of the wonderful coffees of our excellent star barista back there, and join us up here on stage. We have brought some of the best Berlin startups to present to you today. And we're very excited to see such a full house and have you all here with us. To start off the competition, before I go through the rules and, the general pitch spiel and give you a little brief of how this is going to go down, I would like, of course, first of all, to welcome our host here on stage. Please give a warm welcome to Stefan Franzke, CEO of Berlin Partner.
Thank you very much. Very welcome here in our saloon. I'm very proud that you are here to see the best 10 startups we have in Berlin. We have more than 4,000 startups in Berlin, and that's why Berlin is really a vibrant city. It's like here nowadays in Austin. It's so lovely to be here to see and feel the energy on the street, and it's like the same feeling I'm in Berlin. And the startups in Berlin, we have a really great portfolio of startups here. One who produce biological cells in the advertainment area are some. And typically, the Berlin startups have a focus on FinTech and IoT. That's why we have the German initiative, the D-Hub initiative, where FinTechs and IoTs are supported from Berlin Partner. And in the future, themes like AI are coming. We had a lot of talks here at the South by Southwest. And for Germany, we have around about 300 companies in the AI sector, and 200 are in Berlin based. More than 4,000 employees are doing business in Berlin with AI. So this is really, really great, and they are creating the future now. But in Berlin, we have the established industry too. The big companies like Siemens, Volkswagen, Mercedes are opening up more and more innovation hubs in Berlin. And it's really great to see how startups and established industry are cooperate to make great, awesome things. The most important argument to do it in Berlin is that we have the right talent in Berlin. The Berliner are very open, city of freedom. 30 years ago, the wall is falling down. We have this year the anniversary, and talents from all over the world are living in Berlin. 196 different nationalities we have in Berlin, and we are very proud of that. And when the people are not there, you're searching in Berlin, then they want to come to do businesses and to make party. Because one thing is that we have a really cool club culture in Berlin. So that's why I really love this street here, because it's so similar. Yeah, it's really nice to have it, and that's really the spirit of Berlin. And I think I want to invite you all to come to Berlin. So I think the next time you have to come to the Republika. That's a really famous event in Europe, the biggest one. And I think it's a little bit similar to this one. But now we want to see the 10 startups. Thank you for the jury to be a jury member. And let the show begin. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stefan. And thank you so much for putting on this great show together with InfoPark. So let's have a quick sign of hands, a moment of audience participation. I am assuming that most of you have been to pitch contests. Yes. I'm still going to give you a very short rundown of how this is going to happen. We're going to give each one of our startups 3 minutes to pitch. And then we're going to give our jury 2 minutes to ask questions. At the end, after every startup is pitched, we're going to give our jury 15 minutes to retreat and choose the winners of this competition. Before we begin, I would, of course, like to introduce the jury to you, and I'd like to ask every jury member just to give a quick wave at our audience. We have with us Christina Bechaud-Russ from Samsung Next, Rob Tompkins from Silicon Valley Bank, Ludovic Koperer from Sony Innovations Fund. Those of you here this morning might have already met the lovely Janine Koch, Director of Republica. We have Ali Syed from Capital Factory. And last but not least, Christian Renner from Kompass Digital. Thank you very much to our jury members for being here today and for doing a good job. I'm already sure you're going to do a good job at selecting the right startups to win this competition. They're going to have different criteria with which they're judging. They're going to be looking out for the business model, for the market opportunity, for the that we have startups that are on very different levels, so different sort of levels of ripeness, you could say, but the level competition that we think they're going to be able to meet out there is also a factor. And of course, the team, always something that's very, very important. And with that, I think we're ready to call our first startup here on stage. Imaginary drum roll. I hope you're all as excited as I am. Please give it up for FrameRight, represented by Marina.
Hi, my name is Marina. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FrameRight. I'm a photographer, so I know what looks good and how images should be displayed. However, the reality is different. It is horrible how images are being cropped without any control. Suddenly, they're headless portraits or only chest areas picturing stories. I also face the same issue in my daily work. There was no way I could make sure a client could use my images without any cropping issues. The only way to go around it was to make multiple versions of the same image. This was very confusing, and mistakes happened. Almost 8 billion images are published every day. This means if the image is not good, it will not stand out from the noise. People are not going to click, read, or share that story. And imagine how many images are needed running an online store. As an example, a single retailer might need over 10 million images a year. That's a lot of work, and that's a lot of room for mistakes. So we came up with a solution that makes image cropping workflow non-destructive and fast. Our in-house built AI model understands the composition of the image and creates correct and engaging crops for all situations. The user interface allows modifying and approving the results. The crops are saved inside the image file's metadata. So the image carries all the information on how it should be displayed. So from now on, the cropping can be done at any point in the lifetime of an image. The data can be used, making sure pictures look exactly how they're supposed to on all channels and devices. We combine the speed of automation with the quality of professional vision. The alternative solutions require too much effort or don't work well enough because image cropping is much more than having an object in the frame. We started in Finland, where we won in media innovation competitions. With the help of Business Finland and Next Media Accelerator in Germany, we entered the German market last year. We're now based in Berlin. And we're currently piloting with large media companies in Central Europe and the Nordics. We founded FrameRight with my co-founder and our CTO, Ilkka, because we had both seen the same issue from different sides of the table. We know this issue needs to be solved. We are currently raising a pre-seed round in order to get our product to the next level. Our vision is that FrameRight will power every single image on the internet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was perfect timing. And now your 2 minutes of Q&A begin. Which jury member would like to go first? Christian.
Thanks for the presentation. Do you have can you talk a little bit about your go-to-market or the first clients you want to acquire?
So we are building the product with the media companies because they already have the ecosystem that they can take advantage of the technology. In the long term, we also want to combine it so that social media platforms can understand the data, and then we can open the long tail for consumer markets, and then it's a big business then, even better.
What do you think, which is the biggest competitor for you?
So, as there was on the slide, so it's the automation, but the thing is with the automation that image cropping is not about having an object in the frame, it's about the composition. So otherwise, yeah, it's the manual work, which takes a lot of work and trial and error.
How do you make money?
So the tool, the publishers integrate our system to their system, and they pay for that integration.
Is this a custom amount per publisher? Are you starting, is it a standard amount?
Sorry?
Is this a standard amount that you charge per publisher? How are you going to scale? You know?
In the enterprise level, it's deal to deal. But in the future, when we have the SaaS model at the end of the year, hopefully, then it will be monthly basis. Yeah.
One more?
It sounds like that this will heavily rely on Facebook and some of the other big platforms adopting the standard so that it can automatically be integrated. What is your plan B if Facebook, for example, does not adopt the standard?
This can be already used without Facebook accepting it. We have a plan for that, and we are also involved with the IPTC, which is the International Standardization Organization for Metadata, and we are actually presenting at their event in a month. So we are taking care of that.
Thank you very much. Jury, thank you very much, Marina. We have one more jury member here today that I didn't announce in the beginning. Joined us quite spontaneously, but we're very, very happy to have Björn Billhardt from the Austin-based company Ability here with us today as well. Thank you, Björn. The second startup presenting is Bluego and represented by Felix. Please give him a big applause.
Where do we get the presentation? Okay. Okay. Perfect. Hi, I'm Felix. I'm the CEO of Bluego. So let's talk about public transportation. I think it's not the most beloved mobility service, especially here in the US. So what are the obstacles that we have to overcome? First of all, we always have to wait for the bus or the train, and that takes a long time. And then there are also all these delays. And finally, when we're in the bus or in the train, we get checked for a valid ticket, and we forgot to buy one. And zack, we have to pay a fine. And that's also very embarrassing. So we are thinking about a way how to solve these problems, to make public transportation more efficient and also more convenient for passengers. So our solution for this problem is to automate the whole ticket booking process in order to buy a ticket as a passenger. So how does it work? We develop a tech stack that gets integrated into the existing applications of the public transportation, the smartphone applications, or passengers can also use our own dedicated application. Our application recognizes once you as a passenger enter a bus or a train. And so you get a temporary ticket. So you can enjoy your ride. And you do not have to do any manual actions through the application. So your smartphone can be in your pocket the whole time. If you get checked, you just show the application, and the checker sees this temporary ticket and knows that the system is active, working in the background. So once you leave the vehicle, we also recognize your destination, and then we can calculate the exact price for your ride. The good thing about this is we can also do best price calculations. So if you have multiple rides a day or a month, it gets cheaper for you. So that's a good thing for you as a passenger. It gets much more convenient for you. But what do the public transportation providers get? They get a lot of data. So actually what we do is we gather a lot of data about passenger streams in public transportation systems. So we know how many passengers are waiting at a station, how many passengers are in a bus, or how many passengers are in a train. We also know all the stops that they pass. We also recognize the line changes. And with all this data, public transportation providers can make the system much more efficient. They are able to reschedule their schedules in real time. So that's a great thing for them. So it pushes the costs down. So when it's about all this data analysis, that's actually a very, very great thing for these public transportation providers. And to sum it all up, we just do not have a big, big convenience plus for passengers. We also have it for the public transportation providers. So we want to reinvent the whole ticket booking process for public transportation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're all doing very well, keeping in this 3-minute time span. And jury, off you go.
How do you view the competitive landscape, particularly companies like Moveit that provide similar data to public transportation companies?
Yes, we combine it also with a ticket booking process. So something that's very important when it's about selling tickets of public transportation providers is that you need a close cooperation with them. And that takes also a lot of time to establish with them. So that's our USP, that we are also able to sell the tickets for them. So we do not just make money with the data that we gather, we also make money with the tickets that we sell through our platform.
So what's your go-to-market in terms of cities or regions you're going to launch? And how much time does it take to integrate your platform into a subway or train IT system?
Integration is actually pretty easy. The only part that takes a bit more time is to get access to their data, their existing data, because we have to know where all the stops are located and how the lines, what are the routes and stuff like that. There's some special things about that. And that's under a subway, for example. For subway, we use small beacon installations in the vehicles, but on the ground, we're just using GPS and also the acceleration data that can be gathered in the smartphone of the passenger.
You've touched on integration just then, but I guess my question is, do you have a sense for how long the sales cycle will be for each of these somewhat, challenging points?
Sure. Currently, our customers are public transportation providers, these companies. So it takes some time so sales cycles are long right now, but we also notice that for every customer that we get, the sales cycles get shorter. So on the long run, it's also our goal to establish a platform that can be used by other service providers to sell tickets for public transportation. So for example, Google Maps has an interest to sell public transportation tickets on their platform. And also other services like Booking.com or stuff like that are also have an interest in selling public transportation tickets. And currently they can.
Very quickly, one last
question. Just wanted to know, did you started talking to these companies if they're actually willing to give you access?
Yes.
Okay,
we
that's it.
already have the system. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Give it up for Felix, please. Thank you. The third startup is being presented by Asaf and is called Brighter AI. Please welcome Asaf.
Thanks. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Asaf. Great to be here. So this list that you see is a list of data points that when my image is being taken now, these are stuff that you can analyze, models that you can analyze about me in the cloud. Now, the number of cameras that can do it without my consent, for example, in Europe, is 0. This is due to privacy regulations. Now, it's not only in Europe, it's also in China, it's also in the US, and there are more than 1 billion cameras very soon going to be affected by privacy regulations in public sectors and automotive. Traditional anonymization just doesn't work. So if you want to anonymize by blurring models, you cannot use it for AI, you cannot use it for analytics. You lose information, it will not work. And our mission is to balance between these two worlds, to allow our clients to collect data in public with no privacy concerns and actually to empower them to collect more and more data. So how do we bridge between these two worlds of data privacy and analytics and AI? we generate artificial replacements. We detect the original personal information. We generate artificial replacements. So the video, on one hand, has no personal information. On the other hand, stays natural, so you can analyze it. Here are the originals. As you can see, we keep all the understanding of the video, just not the identities. All the demographics stay. Of course, we do it also on videos. These are 2 automotive use cases taken in Hamburg and San Francisco. Once the data is anonymized by our solution, it's perfectly detectable. This is Google DeepMind segmentation tool. And the impact on automotive is that actually every car can become a data collector and can monetize the data. It can do continuous improvement of AI, of the autonomous vehicle. When you're talking about analytics in public transportation and in retail, the moment that you anonymize the data on the edge, you can send it to the cloud, and there you have no limits, tons of vendors. You can analyze the data much better and much faster. Our solution is also cybersecurity compliant. Faces are no similar to the origin once they are anonymized by us. The market is about $4 billion size, and the CAGR is going rapidly high. We do have some competition, some companies from Korea, some German companies. Luckily, we are far behind. They are far behind us when it comes to technology. They don't do license plates, and some of them still disrupt the data. We have 3 levels of phases of our product strategy. At the moment, we are already working with automotive companies and tier 1 suppliers as a service solution, anonymizing data that they already collected. And soon we're going to start to embed our solution to anonymize it on the edge in the cameras. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Asaf. And your Q&A time begins.
So do you need any special processing equipment on the edge on the camera side, or is it all happening in the cloud? And also, what about the training of your algorithm with different faces and license plates?
So at the moment, the model is GPU-based on the servers. And once we'll embed it, it will not be like a special GPU. It will just be an embedded model in the camera.
Can you talk a little bit about your sales cycles and how do you charge the companies?
Yes. So sales cycles used to be very long. After, I would say, the second, third client, they become significantly shorter. I think we become better, and the clients understand better what we need, what we do and what they need. At the moment, for the service solution, we charge either by the amount of data that they collect and anonymize, or per car, per test car. Once it will be embedded, it will be a royalty fee per car or per camera.
Beyond automotive, what are the next applications that you can see this being useful for?
So the next applications is, for example, public transportation. We have a project there as well already, starting to anonymize data on the edge and then allow the provider actually to understand what happens in their stations and in their trains.
Any non-mobility related applications that you can see?
Yes, of course. So we see public transportation, but the same goes to smart city sector or retailers that already have these camera systems in the stores, want to analyze it, but they don't need your identity to analyze. And with our solution, they can analyze everything in the cloud.
Thank you very much. I think that's all we have time for. Big round of applause for you. And next up is Sellbricks, represented by Chris. Applause, please.
Thanks very much. So I am Chris from Sellbricks, and we 3D print human tissues. This is our printer. So in the US alone, 20 people die every day while waiting for an organ transplant. That means in South by, we're looking at 200 people. This doesn't have to be the case. We can fix this by 3D printing organs and tissues that we could transplant into people. And this is exactly what we're doing at Sellbricks. So we already have a working printer. You can see this blood vessel that we printed. The way it works is basically we have a liquid ink that we've developed. We mix live cells into this ink, and then when we expose the ink to light, it glues the cells together and produces a tissue. The holy grail of bioprinting is really to print large things quickly with high accuracy. We've developed printing technology that is completely different from any of our competitors. It's a different basis. It meets these 3 goals. We've patented it, and it's going to allow us to transplant our products. The first thing we're going to offer is knee cartilage product. So 10 to 12% of all people are going to need some kind of replacement to their knee cartilage over the course of their lifetime. The existing solutions are short-term and can cause additional problems further down the road. So we can offer a solution that's tailored to each patient. And because of the nature of cartilage, it means that we can get to market much faster than with any other organ or tissue by starting with cartilage. We already have clients, including Bayer, the Charité Research Hospital, which is basically the Johns Hopkins of Europe, and they are blown away by our technology and really excited to see where things are going. The initial market that we're starting off with for cartilage is projected to be $5.7 billion by 2026. Then as we expand out into the larger market of regenerative medicine, we're looking at a $94 billion a year global market. To date, we have completely bootstrapped our company. So this is pretty much unheard of in the biotech space. We've taken on no investment, and we have working technology. We've done that by providing bespoke printing services to the clients I mentioned before. We're now raising our seed round. With that money, we're going to start animal transplant trials, and we're going to get our regulatory ducks in order so that once the animal trials are done, we have the certifications, and we can start human clinical trials right away, which is going to be the next step. Our team has extremely diverse technical skills in 3D printing, tissue engineering, chemical engineering, a whole bunch of everything you would need, basically. Thanks very much. Any questions?
Thank you. I'm sure you have some questions.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you all will be heading down the regulatory path. Is that going to be focused in Europe first and then coming to the States? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to start off in Europe. We're based in Berlin. We have a really solid understanding of the regulatory climate there, and we see a very clear path there. Once we have production and we're on the market in Europe, we're going to move into the States. We ideally want to bring on a US-based biotech-oriented VC so that they can help us make sure we're moving in the right direction as we're entering the European market.
Can you explain a little bit about why the rest of the market is so clearly focused on the extrusion?
Yeah, basically, so you can do extrusion, or you can use light, which is what we're doing. And we basically have a patent that prevents anybody else from using the style of technology that we're using in bioprinting with multiple materials. So that's why nobody else is using our tech. There are other options, but they are extremely high accuracy, but you end up with very small prints. And so they're being used in research applications, but they're not applicable to transplants.
More questions? We have time for one more, if you have.
Talk a little bit about the financing and the, sort of, this sounds very intensive from a finance perspective. What's your run rate? What are you looking for?
So we're basically looking for $5 million for a seed round, which will cover us for 2 years and get us through animal trials. And then we're looking at something around $15 million for a Series A after that to do the human clinical trials. Yeah. Berlin is cheap.
Thank you so much, Chris. And if there are any bio VCs in the room or somebody knows someone, come your way, right?
Thanks very much.
Next startup presenting is ChallengeAid, presented by Vale. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction. My name is Valentin, and I'm one of the co-founders of ChallengeAid. 4.5 million people live in Austin and Berlin. We all love our big city life. We're busy, and we love being in our cities. But every now and then, we have this urge, this feeling. We want to break out and challenge ourselves. We want to go on expeditions. We want to summit the highest mountains, mountain bike in remote areas, and go trekking on unexplored paths. But for all those expeditions, you need a professional and experienced guide. But where can you actually find them, and how can you actually book them? At ChallengeAid, we're building the first marketplace for challenging outdoor expeditions. We want to connect adventurers to all the local guides all around the world. So now you most probably think this is a very niche market, but I actually have to say it's not. The whole adventure travel market is valued so far at $680 billion US, and is still growing by more than 20% every year. The market is pretty much divided into the soft adventure market, the medium adventure market, and the hard adventure market. And we're focusing on the medium to hard adventure market. And as you can see on the chart, there's basically all our competitors are so far focusing on the soft adventure market, and only mostly the local operators are in the market for the hard or medium hard adventure market. We are 3 founders, and we're all having our expertise basically in the travel industry, as well as we've all been experienced in building up marketplaces. We're super passionate about the topic, and we think we can make this a big marketplace. So where are we so far? Right now, we had our first customers who have a really amazing experience on their expeditions. For the next couple of months, we're basically cooperating with influencers and already have set up partnerships so that we get a lot of traction and can grow and build up our customer base. For the future, we're looking for enthusiastic and passionate outdoor business angels, and are hoping to get our first seed investment at the end of the year. Thank you so much.
With a few seconds to spare. Jury, please. Everybody's busy making notes. Okay, take it away.
How do you find and vet these guides to make sure they have the right quality, what qualification, and what happens if something goes wrong?
Yeah, a very good question. So basically, what's happening is, for now, for the first products, we're basically either we have done the expeditions ourselves, so we know what we are, who we're talking to, and also we know it from our network. But for the future, we want to send customers and get them tested, and so to validate basically on specific criteria who we want to put on the platform, on the marketplace, and who we don't.
What's your long-term goal with this? Is it $1 million company, 10 million, 100 million?
Yeah.
Where do you see this going?
So basically, there is like a lot of, like, you cannot imagine, there's so many expeditions going on so far. So what we want to do is, in the end, we don't want to only focus on the expeditions, but you can also grow the thing in, like, you can sell or rent the gear, you can, so basically, like, we want to grow a whole platform and not only, like, go on or send some people on expeditions.
But order of magnitude, like, is it going to be, you know, a $5 million play or $100 million play?
So we see it that we can achieve in the next 5 to 10 years up to $100 million on revenue. Yeah.
One more very short one. A yes or no one. No? All right, then. In that case, another big round of applause for Valentin, please.
Thank you.
And next up is Moritz from DiscoEat. Welcome.
Hello everyone, my name is Moritz and I'm one of the founders of DiscoEat. DiscoEat doesn't stand for eating out at the nightclub, it actually stands for discovering new restaurants with a discount. And essentially we're the fastest table booking platform in Berlin at the moment, and what we do is we help restaurants fill the empty seats, their empty capacity, especially during off-peak hours. The problem we're solving for the restaurants is that today they make around 80% of their revenue during 1.5 hours during main lunch peak and the 2 hours during the main dinner peak. But what we're trying to do is want to extend their peak hours by sending a lot more people, let's say the hour before or the hour after their peak, so they can fill their empty seats. How do we do it? We're using yield management. Yield management is a tool that's not new at all. the hotel and the airline industry. They've been using that for the past 30, 40 years because they have the same problem essentially as restaurants. They have very high fixed costs and very little variable costs. The actual cost of your food when you eat out at a restaurant is only 25%. All the rest is fixed cost. So by adjusting the prices based on demand, we help restaurants increase their utilization and therefore make more margins, higher margins, and more revenue. Here's an example of one of our restaurants in Berlin. And I want to explain here what the big difference is to a Groupon and all these college apps that you have out here. We're not a deal-based platform. So you're not buying like a certain menu item and you have to go there at 4 p.m. and show your voucher. No, we're an actual restaurant booking platform. So if you want, we're a cool version of OpenTable because you can book every restaurant on our platform every day at any time. And just depending on what time you book, you get a discount of 10% to 50% on the full regular menu. So we don't want to change your restaurant experience. You can go and order everything you want, except for the drinks that are full price. So why is the model cool? Well, first of all, it's very scalable. All we need to add in your city is 2 or 3 people on the ground. From an invoicing perspective, it's very simple. We don't do any payment handling. All we do is we send a monthly invoice to the restaurant based on the number of people that we send and the platform fee that we get from them. We're not handling any customer payment because they're not buying vouchers up front for any specific menu items. People just pay in the restaurant. We don't need big customer service. We don't have hungry people calling and saying, hey, where's my food? I'm hungry. We also don't need any riders, delivery fleets like the delivery companies, food delivery companies. And for the restaurant, we don't really change any of their processes, which makes it very easy for the restaurants to come on board. Now, what's happened, where have we gone so far? We basically founded the company in April last year. We raised funding from Rocket and Global Founders Capital in August, $1.5 million. With that, we built out our team and the product. We're currently at 35 people, 30 people in Berlin, 5 people in London. We launched the whole product in January this year with the first 100 restaurants. We're expanding to London. We're going to go live with the app in March. And we're raising $3 million to expand a lot faster and also to the US.
Woo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Moritz. Your Q&A time.
Do you envision partnering with someone like OpenTable or trying to displace them?
Partnering with? Sorry.
Partnering with like an OpenTable or displacing them?
Well, I think the official way of saying things would be like, no, we're an additional solution that helps the restaurants fill their empty seats in off-peak. What's happened, there's a big player in Asia, and they essentially pushed out OpenTable off the market because all the people kept using them because they always get a minimum of 10% discount. So you can get more and more seats during peak times as well, the more relevant you become for a restaurant. So essentially, I guess the long-term plan is to kick them out at some point, but officially, we're an additional solution at the moment.
It seems like a brilliant idea, but also seems somewhat easily copyable by others and larger players. If this takes off, what are your plans to sort of create barriers to entry?
I guess one question is, like, what can we do to move fast? And the other one is, what I usually get, what if OpenTable decides to do it? The reason the big guys probably won't do it, because 80% of the business or the bookings that restaurants do today with an OpenTable or Quandu in Berlin comes through the widget on the website of the restaurant. It doesn't come through the OpenTable website. Now, if you were to book at 8 p.m. during main peak time, and now the widget tells you, hey, book at 9 p.m., you get 30%, you would cannibalize yourself. This is why we believe an OpenTable will not do it, because it will upset the restaurant. That's one of the reasons. What can we do not to get attacked? Well, it's a city game. It's kind of like Groupon back in the days. You need to move really fast. Once you win a city, it's kind of hard to get attacked because you become the tool that people use to book a restaurant, right? What can we do to avoid that other companies pop up somewhere else when they see that we're successful? Move fast.
I think that's, unless yes or no? No, then that's all we have time for. Thank you very much. The next startup representing, you can just leave that here. Thank you. The next startup representing is Grover with Michael. Please give him a big round of applause.
Okay, hello, guys and girls. Okay, how does this work? Okay, so Grover is the future of retail and financial services, and we provide to you the world of technology on demand. So imagine the freedom of renting, of not owning anything and not having to finance something. This is what Grover brings you today in Germany and in the future worldwide. So think about iPhones or MacBooks or headphones or drones or whatever you else want to buy at Best Buy for a monthly fee. So the clue is here, a monthly fee, a monthly tech subscription service that we offer today to our customers. The problem today really is that the products are getting very expensive. The useful life of a product varies by person, and neither retail nor finance have decided a alternative to today's linear model, where you want to buy something and then just own the product until the end of the period. This is a survey from our customers. So we asked them what is your largest interest, and it turns out our customers are very, very interested in technology products. So today, if you look at retail or you look at other services, it seems like technology is a commodity and people don't care about it. It turns out people care about tech products even more than they do care about entertainment or music or travel or gaming or whatever it is. And this trend of caring about the tech you use is just going to increase in the future. So we see already today that our customers and consumers, they give a lot of care into what tech they use, when they use it, and purchasing the variety of different things is just not an option without spending half of your life on eBay trying to sell something. It's also not an option to finance all these things. If you continue to want to delay your payments, you today have only this one option of being flexible, which is subscribing with Grover. It's a big market. I think this slide is kind of self-explaining, but overall it's a 2 trillion market and it's growing. So the number of technology devices per person is increasing, and it's a global phenomenon, it's a global problem that we're solving. The business model is relatively straightforward, but what we do is we extend the asset life of a single product by renting it out multiple times to several different people and collecting more money than the initial investment on the product. So it's very similar to what you see today on these scooters. Over the lifetime of the initial investment, you want to make sure that you collect more rental payments or sales fees, etc. And on average, we have a relatively high yield, but on the other side, very happy customers, because none of our customers has to keep the product until the very end. If they choose to do so, they can and just pay a little premium. So we're a bit of a different stage, I think, but we raised substantial funding until today in Germany, but we're also going to come for the US market for sure. So if you're interested to talk to me about that, let me know. And just one thing very quickly. So we also launched Grover Go last year, which is offering you a tech subscription for your scooters. So we believe that a subscription on a scooter is a better thing because you can take it with you and pay on a monthly basis.
Time for. Okay. Thank you very much. A big round of applause. Sorry to cut you off at the end. Jury, take it away.
Do you need to handle the inventory of TVs, headphones, of electronics products, or you partner with retailers that handle this part of the business?
Yeah, sure. So inventory management is very important, but the first thing is we don't acquire a product before there's not a request and an approved request for rent. So retailers and whoever else is holding the initial inventory for us. And then the next point is when we do have inventory, we can place it and do effective yield management by lowering prices and whatever. And then the subscription plans that we offer are ranging from 1, 3, 6 to 12 months upfront, and they become more expensive the shorter the initial term is, meaning we roughly collect the same amount of cash in the expected rental period of time.
I'm slightly, so this is so you would come in and you would say, I want this particular product, and then you would return to me and say that this is how much money that I would have to pay, and then do I return the product at the end of it?
If you can own it at the end?
Do I just, it's a requirement for me to return the product at the end of the cycle, right? I cannot, is there a buyout option?
No, yeah, you can. So I think the overall, so if you choose the 12-month plan, for instance, you will pay 50% of the asset product within the first year. And if you then decide to upgrade or whatever, you can do so. But if you decide, hey, this is my product, you will have to kind of subscribe to it to 2.5 years. You'll then pay 120% of the initial product whilst having a 90% insurance coverage, and you then can own it and keep it as well.
I mean, have you looked at the US market? Because I feel like a lot of folks are kind of carriers do this, other folks already do this. They
Oh, for
offer
sure.
you free
Yeah, for
leases.
sure.
So what
Carriers
is
do
a particular
this.
product that you're aiming for?
So in the US, I think a lot of carriers are doing it, but we've met a kind of new carrier company who is phone-free. So I think many of the carriers want to be asset light in the future, but obviously in the United States, you have quite a crowded market already on alternative financing. But the difference is they have a very negative branding and they have very high prices. So none of you, I think, is a customer of Rent-A-Center or so, but all of you can be a customer of Grover.
Well, that was also one way to say your time is up. I'm so sorry. Thank you very much, Michael. I can't believe this is going by so fast. I hope you all feel the same. We only have 3 more startups to present. And next up is Caspar with Humanitech.
And thank you so much for having us. So I'm one of 50 software developers that is from 19 nations that is working on what we hate most in software development, bringing redundancy. We're doing the same things over and over again. Let me give you a brief overview of the market. Custom software is growing by 30–40% in compound annual growth throughout the last years and projected in the next years. And we will be 500,000 developers short in 2020. 80% of the IT teams we work with want to reuse microservices and don't know how to do this. So for us, really the key to fix this gap is to do 2 things. We need to bring down redundancy. It's not possible that we're doing the same things over and over again, building search functions, CI/CD pipelines, all the things we do in custom software development, and we need to bring automation up significantly. It's not possible that we do so much manual work when developing software. And we do this with a platform for developers that helps them to reuse, monetize, and automate code. And this is possible because of changes in the underlying technology, in the hosting infrastructure, and especially in microservice and microservice API orchestration. 3 elements. 1, reuse components, build internal marketplaces, and build external marketplaces of microservices in any stack. Number 2, we need them to work together, so we're building joint authentication layers in the backend and in the front end. And number 3, a developer platform that takes these microservices and deploys them to any infrastructure in seconds. This is the marketplace, helping you to build internal microservices, which is super cool because it's helping you to increase your internal speed. But because we are binding these microservices to the joint authentication layer, we can also track the usage per API call. So we can give other teams the possibility to publish services to the marketplace. The teams load them into their Git repository, start customizing in any way they want, and they can get compensated with every API call. And it's a direct attack on the closed source model of the software vendors. We have people like Fisman building field force systems on top of this platform, and they've put modules worth over 1 million euros back into our marketplace. We're binding this together with joint authentication layers, which is an API-based methods, which is basically our core IP. And we then deploy and run this on any infrastructure in seconds with a process that we call click, click, wow. Click 1 is you choose your name for the application, you choose the microservice you want to work with, and then we take them from your Git repository, or if they're not in there, fork them in there, and then we deploy them to any infrastructure, GCP, AWS, whatever, in seconds, build a database, authenticate, and your app is up and running, and you can start coding right away. This is for dev agencies, up to 250 people, for corporate IT teams, and for startups, and is helping them to reduce redundancy. A lot of the things that people charge up to 40,000 euros now, we can automate this in seconds. We make around 2 million revenue, are 46 people, and last thing, we are going into a more public beta in April, where we onboard the first 2,000 developers, and if you want to be one of them and want to give us feedback, we're very, very happy. Now
Thank you, Caspar. Your 2 minutes of Q&A time.
How do you view the competition in this field? It clearly is an idea that's going to work at some point, and automation has already happened in the development space. Where do you see your weakest area in terms of what other people can do?
So, I mean, these models have been around in terms of plugin-driven architectures. So if you think of companies like Odoo or on the more lightweight side, WordPress, But in terms of microservice isolation and reuse, this is really depending on the hosting infrastructure on the more recent technological trends. So this technology is possible for 4, maybe 5 months. So I think we're quite ahead of the curve. And yeah.
One more? Anyone else? Oh, I guess all questions answered. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
I'll take another one. Yeah. So business model wise, what are your thoughts in terms of how to ultimately monetize this? You know, given that it could, you know, even if you're the first mover, someone else could come in, you know, a much larger entity and basically offer the same type of service or same type of kind of platform.
Yeah. These platform types win the more modules you have on the marketplace, and the more convenient the automation effect is. And we're monetizing on the one hand through run-through revenue through your hosting providers that give us a kickback on subscription modules if you want to have higher service level agreements, and we're making a margin on the API run-through revenue.
But that has not been proven yet, right? The 2 million is for the services.
No, it's a mix. It's ARR and services.
Thank you so much. That's all we have time for. Thank you, Caspar. Lots of good names going around in this startup competition. Our penultimate startup is Llama app, represented by Mario. Welcome.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Fan crowd.
Hi. Hello everyone, I'm Mario, I'm the founder of Llama, and we are doing interviews as a service. And today I want to tell you how can we help you promote yourself, your startup, and get basically the attention of the press. So every startup founder knows that it's so hard to get the attention of the traditional press. Just think about it at companies such as TechCrunch, BuzzFeed, they receive hundreds of maybe thousands press releases a day, and basically, it's almost impossible if you're in an early stage and you get traction and so on. This is why we created Llama, and we want to solve this problem. So how we want to solve this problem? By providing a professional journalist, an easy-to-use app to record your own interview, and a user-generated magazine that we use as a publishing tool. So let me explain you how it works for an interview point of view. So as an interviewee, you sign up on our platform. A journalist picks up your profile and in a couple of minutes creates your own personal interview. Then you receive directly everything in our app. And within few clicks, you're ready to record. And bam, that's the final result. So like a very nice curated interview page. We've been around since already like 7 months. And we've been able to produce a huge amount of interviews. We've been able to attract some of the brightest minds of the tech scene all around the world. So regarding how we make money, so basically the service is free, so everyone can sign up, but we charge in case you want to get an extra promotion, so we can assure you up to 60,000 impressions, and we require a fee of $249. Finally, since our software was also working for other companies, we decided to open up to media companies. And basically, they can use it as a software as a service. So we have B2C and B2B model inside. We are not alone in the space. There are a lot of publishing tools such as Medium or About Me, but we consider ourselves pretty unique because we were basically first focusing only on video. And yeah, that's our team. Here is Alex with me, and yeah, Robert. And this is not our actually first company. We already been working together for more than 4 years. And yeah, so this is how we ended up basically working together, and we came up with the idea already 1.5 years ago, and yeah. So finally, we already have some test clients, especially in Berlin. We have the factory, and this shows also the different use cases that our tool can have. So for example, we have like some art, modern art marketplace platforms, co-working spaces, and so on. And those are also some of our great partners, the NMA, and yeah, thank you so much. And our vision is to interview the world, so please help us. Come talk to me, and yeah.
Thank you, Moritz. Applause. Jury, your time.
you explained a lot about the process for creating interviews. What about the audience side? Do they have to download the Llama app, or what's kind of the incentive or the benefit for the users to find and discover these interviews?
Yeah, the benefit is that actually we give the chance to everyone to talk about his products. So, you know, if you just have started like your own side project, or you're also a startup, you have a great product, but really like we give the chance like everyone to be able to express themselves and get published on a publication. So the main value is that we give reach basically to people that want to promote themselves, and people also use those pages also to lead traffic and also to pitch to investors. So the use cases are very, very different.
Those impressions are on your app, or back to his question, or are you blasting this out via social media for people when you say you charge them $250?
Yes.
What are they getting for that?
So we have a magazine. We have a readership of around 60,000 readers, mainly founders and CEOs, investors. So we build it like a community around it. We have a newsletter, and also we publish on social media. So the promotional package actually, it's mainly to target specific target group. So for example, if you are a founder in blockchain and you want to target like this audience, by paying us a fee, we directly target like the relevant people in the field. So we also promote on social media and so on.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that's all we have time for. Our final startup presenting today is a Penury with Max. Give it up for Max.
Give me a second. Here we go. Sorry about that. All right. So first of all, it's great to be here. Thanks to listening to the presentation. My name is Max. I'm one of the co-founders of Penury. Penury is actually a startup that is about one simple but very large problem that we all face every day when we are online. We are incredibly passive. If you actually put out your phone and you read the New York Times or the Spiegel or whatever you read, or if you are on branded content, you typically do not interact with the content that you read. And this has a whole range of issues with it. The first one is that the people who are behind that content, so journalists, for example, or the people who actually create branded content, don't know what you as a user actually like. They don't understand what you think, what your opinions are. And the whole idea of having a public debate is very hard to do online if you actually don't get people to share their opinions, share their thoughts on the content that they consume. So what we created was a way to ask the right and relevant question in all of the content that you can consume in the open net, so outside the platforms. We automatically play a relevant question within an article and then allow you to actually see a dynamically personalized offer or message after you interacted. And how this all works, it's based on an NLP algorithm that we have been running now for 2.5 years. It is a program that is getting better and better in categorizing all sorts of content. And we actually display roughly 5,000 pieces of content per day, no matter if it's on Der Spiegel or currently at CNN, Forbes, Telegraph, HuffPost, etc., but also on Pfizer, Pampers, etc. So what do we actually do? We help brands and newsrooms to create direct communication, a direct relationship with the users that are actually interested in the content that they create. Currently, we create so much content, and it's always static. So now with the Penury, you can actually create a relationship outside a platform, a relationship that is your own. If you think about direct-to-consumer, you will need a Penury. We work with a range of brands that actually use our reach to create these direct topical relationships no matter if it's Siemens, Bayer, Deutsche Bank, Toyota. It's roughly 80 clients, mostly blue chip clients. Sorry about that. Okay. So what do? We actually have a business model that is based on engaging users, understanding what they think, and then converting them. Currently, we have 120 million users in all sorts of, sorry about that.
Okay, thank you, Max. Big round of applause. Question and answer time. Jury. Where are you hiding your jury mic?
Ah, yeah, cool. Thank you. I didn't really understand what's your product. So is it an app? Is it something which is included on the website? Who owns the data? All this kind of question. Didn't understand
I can guarantee that you've used our product several times. Do you read Der Spiegel, for example? Do you know the question and then the actual tool? Yeah, have you ever seen that? It looks like a speedometer. That is what we do at Penury. Yeah, we actually work with a range of publishers, display an interactive graphic within the tool, within the publisher, and then you can interact with that article.
The interaction always also involving an advertiser, or can it ever just be content related?
So we have 120 million unique impressions per month, of which roughly 70% are actually only editorial content, yeah? And the rest is, you know, a topical campaign from Pfizer on all articles, you know, which are related to smoking, for example.
That's still sponsored content.
Exactly. So it's roughly a 70-30 split.
You good? Yeah? Okay, Max, big round of applause for you.
Thank you so
Thank you very much.